Halloween always gave me an excuse to dress a little closer to what actually made me feel confident. I always thought hiding behind the guise of a costume made it easier for those around me to swallow. But it took me a while to realize my confidence shouldn't cause the people around me to choke. I remember there was around a 3-year period where I dressed up as a woman for Halloween. First as my sister in elementary school, and then 2 consecutive years as a princess in middle school. It was at a point in my life where I was constantly having my masculinity, my sexuality, and my self-worth questioned by others. Maybe it was because I felt that I could embrace a part of my femininity in a form of a character, or because it was the only way I thought to defy the social cues I saw around me.
Jacob, what about some of the chords you learned?
But something about satirizing myself as the opposite gender made me feel more me than anything else I wore at the time. I felt trapped in the limitations of my surroundings and the notion that my certainty in my identity made me less of a man. Some repeated rule that was ingrained in me, but never explained. Meeting people who were so vulnerable about their identity lent me the safe space I needed to begin experimenting with how I dressed and helped me realize the parts of me I thought were weak, or the parts that should make me feel the most confident. I started doing photo shoots wearing my friends' clothes and posted them on social media. Though I had never gotten more support from friends, family, and strangers alike in my time on the internet, the voices of those tearing me down seemed much louder to me at first. With each comment calling me a woman or ended friendship, I felt I was given more and more of a reason to give in and retreat back to the box I had freed myself from. While I had expected some closeted homophobes in my comments, the feeling of being torn down for an uninfluenced part of you seeking for support affected my newfound confidence. The insecurities that bubbled up to the surface reminded me of how I felt in middle school, where I'd get called a fag just for wearing rings to school. That word has a different meaning to me now. Derived from the Greek word for a bundle of sticks, faggot to me is a term of unified strength. My grandpa used to think of the members of my family as matchsticks, all part of a larger matchbox. He'd tell us, on its own, a matchstick is easy to snap, but it takes a lot more effort to break a bundle of them. My family has always been one for corny mottos about togetherness, but this one always stuck with me for reasons beyond my knowledge, until I was recently able to reclaim that word for my own. Feeling desperate to drown out the constant "bring back manly men" cry that was looping in my brain, my head began to clear a little after receiving a text in support from my uncle. A picture of Andre 3000 in a dress. This led me down a rabbit hole of 90s and 2000s androgyny and gave me a plethora of examples to feel inspired by. Soon after, the floodgates opened and the line my style towed began to blur from masculinity versus femininity to androgyny. While at first, feminine clothing like skirts and dresses still felt like a costume that made me feel confident, over time I found I felt no less masculine in a skirt than I did a pair of baggy jeans. To that note, however, I did learn to realize that my femininity was no less of a cause to feel confident. I never felt nor wanted to feel pretty growing up. It'd be an insult to the already weak pillar of manliness I stood on. But I understood how validating it felt the first time I put on makeup. Looking in the mirror for the first time and seeing myself with a full face, I didn't feel like there was any other way to describe how I felt. I've never really known how to take compliments. Calling me handsome always felt like a stretch, and I'm pretty sure the only reason I'm comfortable with cute is because I've been hearing it from my family for 19 years. But I'm starting to like getting called pretty.